Ladies and gentlemen of the crypto space, we're live on a Friday at 11:30 a.m., January 29th, the end of the month. We have some big stuff coming up on February 1st, and everyone knows it's on my mind. We're going to talk about that, no doubt, but the topic of today is the great value rotation, which is a topic I've hinted at on Twitter of late. It's basically my macro thesis for what I'm seeing likely playing out. There's always a chance that that theory is going to be invalidated, and we'll talk about that today as well. Macro crypto and your portfolio. I have value allocated in equities, precious metals, and the vast majority at this point is the crypto space. The vast majority was not the crypto space historically, but the value that has appreciated and grown from the crypto allocated value is just extraordinary, and it's overwhelmingly the space with the most asymmetric return potential. It's no comparison whatsoever to equities and precious metals. The asymmetric return potential is absolutely off the charts. Today's episode is sponsored by Change Angel, the non custodial swap exchange for social good. Stop depositing on exchanges, not your keys, not your crypto, non custodial, DeFi, or nothing at all. Bam. Let's pop it over to the main screen and see who's in the stream. We got Mark in the house. Morning. Igor's in the house. Crypto Chick, always a pleasure. Yeah, the energy is through the roof and it is telling a story. The markets tell a story. The data tells a story. The fundamentals tell us what to look at. The technicals tell us when to look. We basically are experiencing a civil revolt. Maybe it's the pent up anger from January 6th being redirected in a different direction. Folks may be realizing that this is all financially driven. It's all about control. Financials are about control. If you make little money, you're in control. If being controlled, if you're in debt, you're being controlled. If your salary is $15 an hour, you're being controlled. And that's especially compared to the billionaires and the folks that are making $10,000, $100,000 a week. You are controlled and they are free to make choices that you cannot. The whole system is about control, and people are pissed and they're expressing their anger financially, which is actually interesting. This has never occurred historically. This could not occur back in 2008. The technology wasn't there. The only time it could occur is now. And what we're seeing is the tech giants, Elon Musk, Jack Dorsey of Twitter, they are basically, and Winklevi, and just everyone, the people that have talked about it historically, they're just all coming together. And I've seen some incredible talk from politicians. They're all rallying behind um, freedom and the issues that we have with the financial system and the unfairness of it. So this is just a fascinating experience from a social media, a significant figure, authority perspective, people that are making comments. Um, Everything is reinforcing the narrative that we've talked about for months at this point, that change is upon us. We know for certain right about now the speculative frenzy that occurred with GameStop and a variety of other assets, AMC. We know the speculative frenzy. We just saw it with Dogecoin. We know historically from 2017 and earlier that we experience a broad speculative frenzy in the crypto space, commonly referred to as alt season, and that always starts with Dogecoin because Doge is the biggest piece of shit in the space. It's worthless, it has no value, it has no use case, there's no development, and it's also the cheapest. So people think we're going to pump this 1 cent coin to $1, and it's never going to happen. We're going to look at that chart. Let's take a peek real quick. So this thing ripped massively, and it went through basically a head and shoulders top here if we zoom in on the shorter time frames, and that just utterly got obliterated. This orange line I drew last night before I went to bed. It's probably 12:30 at night, and that is a massive retrace. It was about 40 and change percent to the downside. This thing could break out, but right now there's an obvious symmetrical triangle trend formation with lower highs and higher lows. I can't discount it breaking out. I can't discount it breaking down. You know what I say? I don't give a shit. I have no interest in an asset like this. It has no fundamental value. The technicals are screaming. This could easily break out and just rip to whatever, but there's no predictions, there's no story behind it. All there is speculative frenzy. We saw this in 2017. We'll see this across the entire DeFi space as boatloads of value are just thrown around completely randomly with no logic or reason. And that's definitely a place for speculation that you could definitely capitalize on, but I have no interest in that. I will never promote gambling or activity as such. One, if you make a shitload of money, you're going to have no idea what to do with it unless you have a strong fundamental understanding of how to manage a portfolio, how to save your value, how to protect your value, how to generate revenue streams from your value. This thing went to $1. Someone's going to be like, they'll sell it, and they have no idea what to do with it. They'll have no idea what to do with the money. The biggest problem with money is people have no idea what to do with it. The worst thing you could do with money is spend it, because then it's gone. The best thing you could do with money is use it to generate money. And that's the money you use. You use the money your money makes, and then you have a permanent source of income for life. This might break out. I don't care. I could really care. Who else is in the stream? We got Sir Joseph Greenfellow. Always a pleasure. Welcome. RR's in the house. It's a financial rebellion in all regards. It's a civil revolt. People are pissed and they're going to express their anger. And the fact is, all roads lead to crypto, because crypto is an autonomous zone. It's a free space where you could do whatever you want, and there'll be regulation. Whoopie-doo, we need regulation, because when the hundreds of trillions of dollars from the legacy financial system want a piece of the pie, they're going to need to be regulated. But what have all of you and everyone that listens to me, what have you done? You have front run everyone. I know it's late, meaning we've been in this game for about 10 years, 11 years, but it's taken this amount of time, and we're here. We're getting closer and closer. But you have front run the legacy financial system, and that's extraordinary to be proud of. They have no idea what hit them, and by the time they start getting in, they're not the smart money. The people that are in now are the smart money, and that's everything. They're going to pile in, and they're late. They're all late. I mean, there's obviously the couple of folks. Look at MicroStrategy. Look at whoever else. All those other corporations, the insurance fund, and whatever. Whoever's piled in some money. Yeah, yeah, because they're seeing what's happening, and when they all start piling in money, they're late. When Bitcoin's 50 grand, they're late. And I just said, whatever. I don't really feel bad for them. They haven't seen this. We've seen this. We've talked about this. The writing is on the wall. Technological evolution is inevitable, and it cannot be fought, because this is freedom, and this makes a difference, especially comparing to the legacy financial system. We need the change and the time. There's no better time than now. Come together as planned, Noah. This is what we've been waiting for. Now, don't get me wrong, we could have some slowdown, we could have some speed bumps, we could have some resistance, and we could have some pushback in the opposite direction. We have some volatility to the upside on the VIX, the S&P 500 volatility indicator, which is interesting. And you have to consider, from a crypto perspective, definitely the equities markets, definitely the historically inflated tech equity space. This plays into commodities, the commodities super cycle. This plays into precious metals. This plays into mining, domestic mining for critical materials that President Trump signed an executive order. And there's very good work out of the government defining materials that are absolutely mission critical to the success of the business in the United States, including the military. And of course, the Democrat agenda is going to be very consistent with that ideology. So it was nicely started by Trump, and it's going to overwhelmingly be expanded upon by the Biden administration. I expect potentially some serious volatility. There's no guarantee timing. I don't give a shit about timing. What I care about is up or down. What I care about is not price targets of where something's going. What I care about is the big picture, the story, the narrative, the way things are put together, the puzzle pieces, the flow of value. And the title of this stream is basically the Great Value Rotation. And I see, unless there's not in the VIX, you won't see in the VIX. This is crazy. The VIX is basically going to indicate when some shit's about to pop off in the equities market. The dollar could be your super resistance. If this thing rips to the upside, it's going to crush everything in the short term. It'll crush crypto alike. It'll crush, obviously, the inflated equities market. Tech equities will absolutely get demolished. But if this stays on somewhat of trend, or maybe even there's a narrative in which it breaks down from the falling wedge, maybe 1.9 trillion stimulus, and maybe, I don't know. I don't know what's going to play out. The data tells the story. We don't tell the story. The data tells the story, and what we do is form a narrative around it, and we use the data to reinforce our ideas, observations, and opinions. And if this breaks down and pushes towards support, and dare it break down from support, man, that's going to be rocket fuel for literally every single asset class. And the contrary as well, if it breaks out, that's going to be destructive to asset classes. I keep an eye on the treasuries as well. 5 years was breaking out in interest rates a little bit earlier today. Generally, the trend is bullish. Look at the short-term moving averages, the guppies, completely oversold in the Stoch on the 30-minute. Let's swap to the daily. That's more important. Zooming down, look at that volatility. Look at these wicks. Look at these wicks to the upside. Look at this move. So I was this morning given the story of what's going on. I saw the test of the 200 EMA on the daily, and I saw this support above the short-term moving averages. One, that's where we still are. Look at the Stoch. The Stoch is completely oversold. It found support above the short-term moving averages, which is quite indicative of likely incoming upward price action. This isn't price. This is interest, but conceptually comparable to the point I'm trying to make. So we saw that the hit. We're likely going to see a retest. If it breaks through, that tells a hell of a story. That means bonds are getting sold. Interest rates go up, bonds going down. And if the dollar remains steady and doesn't experience extremely bullish price action, a break to the upside through the falling wedge, we're going to see some shit go on. Dare we combine it with a VIX breakout above this trend line of resistance? We'll see the value rotation, and that's my hypothesis. My hypothesis is there's more likelihood than less that we see a massive, massive crash in the tech equities markets, the overinflated markets, with a massive value rotation towards uninflated assets, commodities, mining, metals, and crypto. This is crazy. I mean, literally just this spike, seeing this one wick to the upside on the daily. Oh my God. Yeah. So stars can align and the narrative can play out. Technicals could paint a picture of the concepts in my mind invalidating, in which case we would see like the dollar break out, or maybe treasury yields start to collapse, in which case risk off, folks are piling into bonds and they fear some sort of insolvency event or liquidity event is coming. We're not seeing that. What we're seeing is bullish interest rate price action. We're seeing relatively stable dollar price action today. Frankly, this is bearish, especially in the long-term daily. We're high on the Stoch. We've seen some bullish. This move is obviously bullish from support to where we are. But look at the short-term moving averages and the guppies. This is a massive amount of resistance above head, particularly because this is a dollar chart. For this to rip to the upside, some shit's going down. That'd be crazy. And frankly, that we see this a little bit of a up and down on the Stoch. This could swing bearish and start pushing back down towards support. Was that almost $2, $1.70? That would be rocket fuel. If this starts pushing down towards support, that'll be rocket fuel for basically all asset classes. What am I missing? David, most interesting week we've ever seen. You damn right. Barry, howdy. Crypto check come together as planned. I think I mentioned that. Mark, OG UTXO first, long DeFi. Yeah, I have my UTXO picks. You guys know it. They're old school. All my picks are from 2017. Digibyte, Blocknet, StakeNet, Syscoin, Zcoin from Firo is now Firo, and there's probably a couple of other ones in the list. But the vast majority of my holdings are DeFi, Bitcoin. Bitcoin's the vast majority, but DeFi, I have my big speculative bet with KeeperDAO and Rook, and that's it. Just you guys know, I talk about what most of the assets I own. Digilight says Elon keeps tweeting about Dogecoin. Yeah, he can tweet only once. What matters is the story in play. And unless this breaks out, that is one heck of a trend resistance. If Bitcoin breaks out, that'll push this chart down. It doesn't matter. The chart tells the story. People don't tell stories. The chart tells the story. And what's pertinent is all the personalities have come behind Bitcoin. Musk tweeted in retrospect, it was inevitable. They're all throwing Bitcoin in their bios. Hundreds and hundreds of millions of people are being exposed to what went on with Doge, and this is going to reinforce the speculative frenzy in altcoin assets. Why? Because altcoin assets are dirt cheap. And for new entrants, altcoin assets and the dirt cheap price are perceived to be the best opportunity because they have no idea about risk reward or proper portfolio management. So the best thing you could do is avoid the speculative frenzy, position yourselves in altcoins that have ridiculous fundamentals and contribute to the infrastructure that is being built that completely parallels the legacy financial system, and let the speculative frenzy come to you. If you have an asset that pumps 3, 4, 500% in a completely vertical, this is vertical. This is overwhelmingly not sustainable. There's no fundamentals whatsoever to sustain this. And even if there was fundamentals to sustain this, the pullback was inevitable. If you see something pump, the irrational speculation, you liquidate. You sell on the way up and sell on the way down. And then you could regain a position once you find trend support. This was obvious trend support. You started to see the higher highs and the higher lows, and then you could regain a position if you truly believe in the fundamentals of a particular project. And that's proper portfolio management. You have to protect your gains. And that's what, unfortunately, the general public's not going to do, especially with the GameStop frenzy and the speculative frenzy that occurred here. How many people, clearly the veterans in the space, Nico and a bunch of other folks, and made a lot of money, and they're going to protect their gains, extracting the appreciated capital into value storage, into Bitcoin, or maybe even to stable coins. But point being, you have to know how to manage the portfolio. Otherwise, what goes up will come down. Gains will be completely lost. Anchorage becomes first OCC-approved national bank. Yeah, I heard about that. It's pretty cool. Coinbase is going IPO, John. That's all the stars are aligning. It's absolutely incredible. DigiLight, there's an entire marketing campaign. Yes, indeed. Captain Weber, thank you very much. Much appreciated, my brother. I really do. Thank you. Mark, discipline. Thank you always. Discipline. There's no room for emotions in this business. There's no room for emotions in managing your portfolio. This is all about fundamental analysis, telling you where to look, and technical analysis, telling you when to look. Mark says yield. Well, that is the long-term play. The long-term play is you don't want to trade. The long-term play is you want to allocate your value to generate a recurring revenue stream in a very relatively risk-off way, such that your money's making your money and you don't have to work. Sure, you're going to love to work, want to work, and do whatever the hell you want to do. Run a business, be an employee, you can do whatever the hell you want to do. But when you have financial freedom and you no longer are a slave to the paycheck where you have to save up and wait for shit, that changes everything about the mentality. That's freedom. That makes all the difference. Guarantee you, if things work out well for me financially, I will work. I'll probably even keep the same jobs I have. But the mentality is all that matters. The freedom of your mind that you don't need to work changes everything. Bid is in the house. Always a pleasure. Always thank you for joining. I hope I help. Dave's in the house. White Wolf, financial rebellion as they are waking up and mainstream media can't blame Donald J. Trump anymore. It's just some of this shit is funny. Financial media and the news networks are definitely just it's going wild. They don't know how to handle this. But interestingly enough, we have a tremendous amount of experience for how to handle this in the crypto space. We've seen much more of this action as compared to the legacy financial system. They've only seen frenzies like this. 2000 was an absolute frenzy. Some frenzy in '08. Very different markets. The equities markets are very different types of frenzies. There's a tremendous amount of openness in the crypto space. The order books are completely open. That's why Rook is such an incredible asset that has tremendous potential with its order book analysis or mempool analysis and capacity to capitalize on strategic Ethereum transactions. That's just, you can't even do that in the legacy financial system unless it's like, maybe it's a little insider trading type parallel there in some regards. But man, just rambling. Man, that was a quick 20-minute monologue. Thank you all for listening. I really hope I help, guys. Zatar, good morning, Noah. What a great day to be alive. Looking forward to Monday. Rook, thank you all for what you do. Thank that. You're very welcome. I try my best to give rational observations and paint you guys a story of what the hell's going on. You know, watch the treasuries, watch the dollar, watch the VIX for volatility in the equity space because, man, this thing looks like it's ready to rip. You don't see things like this. And place your bets you know, Buffett says you got to place a concentrated bet to make money. Sure, but the vast majority of portfolio needs to be structured to protect your value, and you need to know what to do with the value once you make it, because otherwise, you know, buy low, sell high. Pick a coin. A Digibyte goes to $1 and you make $1 million. You literally love Digibyte. You loved Digibyte so much that at $1 you're going to sell it and you're not going to have any because you made your money. I mean, there's no logic in that, guys. It's an incredible project with profound technology, but you're going to sell it. So there's something wrong with that approach to value allocation. It's one, it's not sustainable. Two, if you sell an asset, that's it. That's the only time you made gains. So you need more of a comprehensive approach to how to handle your value, retain your value, and make your value work for you. Now, here we go. Let's take a look at Rook. Rook has held trend support. It's above short-term moving averages on the daily guppies. It is holding above this green line with very meaningful wicks to the downside. This green line is previous resistance flip support. I could pull it down a little bit to give us some more buffer, put it right on top of the previous local top, which is basically a combination. Where's the previous local top? So we are above previous local top. That means resistance has flip support. These wicks are absolutely incredible to see. These wicks mean what has been liquidated, likely from liquidity mining, has all been bought. And what's most interesting about these wicks, they're all to the downside, and they're giant freaking wicks to the downside. Extraordinary to see. It just reinforces the bullishness of this chart. We're on this top red line as support, but there's also another series of higher lows. So this is clearly a series of higher lows. It could fall through, and that'd be quite devastating. Probably lose a goddamn fortune in that process. But there's still trend. We're still on trend, and that's what I always like to repeat. Unless the story changes, what do you got to do? Why do anything? You don't have to do anything. The story is still there. The fundamentals are still there. The project properties are still there. The project tokenomics are still there. The fact that there's going to be a 100% supply disruption on Monday is still there, irrespective of price. That is the most incredible deflationary pressure possible, other than actually destroying assets, which is where like Kyber Network comes in with the burn component and incentivized supply disruption. So some of the best tokenomics in the entire crypto space. Bear in mind, technicals tell you when to look. So that is important when you're looking at Kyber. But Kyber and Banker are overwhelmingly always on my mind. They ripped 10x back in 2020. And the platform, which had the value of the asset going down, has nothing negative to say about the asset and the projects themselves. The price went down. The technicals tell you when to look. The fundamentals tell you where. Look at this retreat on the RSI. That is a reset of RSI, and the Stochh is completely oversold, producing a rounding bottom. And we could find ourselves in a rounding bottom for a fair amount of time, but sooner or later we're going to have a bullish signal cross. We have Monday that's right, literally Monday could be the bullish signal cross, and then we'll see what happens. I don't say anything for certain. I have no price targets. I don't offer any guarantees. This is the biggest speculative bet I've ever made in my portfolio. And there's going to be a supply disruption on Monday that could potentially be one of the biggest catalysts I've ever seen in the crypto space. And only time will tell. We'll see whether my theory is invalidated and it goes down, and the tokenomics are wrong, and in which case I made a mistake and I lose value. But if my theory is right, it's an extraordinary opportunity. So risk reward considered, this is probably the asset. This is the asset that I have eyes on right now. Clearly, I have a diversified portfolio, but this is the speculative asset that I have eyes on. Can you imagine if the DAO launches, we're able to redirect a portion of Treasury towards Rook holders, governance rights, voting rights, and keepers start to scale, and volume starts rolling in, and Kyber Network provides liquidity, and all of a sudden, a huge amount of value on a monthly basis is redirected towards keepers for their governance and liquidity participation. So, yeah, These are all the thoughts that go into why this position is probably all the writing's on the wall. If it doesn't hit, it doesn't hit, and I'll be quite disappointed and I'll lose an absolute fortune. But I just see all these technical indicators, and they just this is the asset that stands out by far the most to me in the entire crypto space. Name of the game. I missed a lot in the stream. I'm trying to keep up. Financial Rebellion. I mentioned that. White Wolf, Crypto Check, Coinbase, number four trending app. Yeah. So I tweeted this morning that they basically like 6 a.m. They probably had an all hands call, like a pager duty, and they said everyone get the hell in the office because with Musk and Jack Dorsey and with their bio updates. And just the general prevailing commentary across the entire space and what's going on with Wall Street bets, yeah, they're probably having an extraordinary influx of users this morning and today. Brian Brooks said he is waiting Biden administration to have a clear crypto regulation in 6 to 8 weeks. 6 weeks now. Something might happen. We're going to have some regulation. Regulation is a good thing. That's what we want. We want this thing to be better than the legacy financial system. It is better than the legacy financial system. And what's so fascinating about that? It's not even ready. It's baked, but it's not baked. It's basically a baby. And it still makes the legacy financial system seem goddamn pathetic. That's what's crazy about what's going on. What you're seeing is the birth of a nascent financial system. It's got to be. It's just obvious. It's obvious what it does, how it does it, parallels the functionality of the legacy financial system in all regards, complete with a treasury asset being Bitcoin. Damn treasury asset. That's crazy. That's crazy. Uh, compare Ethereum as LP and Keeper versus buy Rook token. Well, your liquidity is done on Monday, and so you could provide liquidity. And I can't recommend what to do, how to do it, why to do it. I myself provided liquidity for a long time. And so it has to be a personal choice, my friend. It's not easy to say. And do consider portfolio management, proper position sizing, proper risk reward analysis. Never invest what you can't afford to lose. And that's the truth. I have this is the largest speculative position I've ever made. And if I lose it or a portion of it, it will sure as hell really hurt. But it's by far from the vast majority of my portfolio. I think I'm at 12, 13, 14, 15%. I've never allocated 15% of a portfolio to a speculative play. So, yeah, I get a little nervous, but yeah, don't take too much risk, guys, and you have to live with your decisions, and if they work out, they work out, and every failure is an experience, and don't you should never ever allocate. Never go all in, never spread too thin. Watch your damn position sizes. You should never be 80%, 100% in an asset. It's the biggest mistake. And it doesn't matter the size of your portfolio. That's the most important thing. What matters is the learning experience. What matters is proper portfolio management. If you have $1,000 in the space, it's no different than someone that has 100,000 or 1,000,000. You need to balance the portfolio because then if you make money, you need to know how to manage the money. So it doesn't matter how much you have, it's still the same rules. That's the bottom line. Crypto Chick, with all this excitement, wonder how market will do this weekend. Yeah, well, crypto market 24/7. This shit's gonna be crazy. Barry, what's up? What's up? Thoughts on RSR? RSR, I recommend always to my friends in other countries, my friends in Argentina, co-workers and colleagues. Um, Basically anything, literally crap, is gonna outperform the Bolivar or the Argentinian peso. RSR is far from crap. It has a tremendous amount of upside potential, asymmetric upside potential. But here's the kicker: if you're talking about like the Bolivar and the Argentinian peso, DAI has tremendous upside potential. These people in these countries that are experiencing hyperinflation are going to make a fortune converting their local fiat into literally just a dollar stablecoin. So it really is a very different perspective when you're thinking of a fiat or that type of environment outside of the dollar, outside of the US. What kind of rates do you expect on stablecoins during the next bear market or something like that? Well, 10% plus. and then you go in a curve, and then you go into LP positions on Uniswap and 1 inch, or then you go into governance or your governance on 1 inch or curve, and you're making 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50%. The LP positions on Uniswap are pulling in hundreds of percent for some of these ridiculously volatile assets. Impermanence loss aside, Bancor, the rates are absolutely extraordinary. Some of it's inflationary derived, but there's going to be a deflationary burn component that governance is going to release. And the transaction fees cover the impermanence loss, and their tokenomics model, their impermanence loss protection model, is sustainable, shown empirically in data from the last couple of months. Everything about it screams an excellent place to allocate value and generate a recurring revenue stream. Where to buy a Rook? Uniswap, 1 inch exchange, DeFi, or nothing at all, boys and girls. Well, non custodial. Um, that's the name of the game. Non custodial or DeFi or nothing at all. Don't mess with the centralized exchanges. Don't waste your time. You gotta understand what's being built, and that's it. It's not about owning the asset. That does nothing. That doesn't help you. That doesn't do anything. You need to understand why it has meaning, how it has meaning, what's being built, and why the legacy financial system is so antiquated and deprecated. Preacher Brother, Church of Noah is a bit of a church. Damn, big old monologue. But I hope it helps everyone. Brendan, hi Noah. Do you know if KeeperDAO will start listing Rook as an asset for staking on the platform? Well, staking's done on Monday. So staking is done. We're going to have to wait for the platform to evolve. I'm sure the team has been working for months at this point. The team is basically either the vast majority of the Ren team, um, or other participants. Clearly, they partner with Kyber at this point. So I've spoken a lot about Rook, and I don't know how it's going to evolve. I know they're going to need liquidity, so I don't know how that's all going to play out. It's quite speculative, but we're above support, and the technicals look spot on. These are the most incredible technicals I've seen in a long time. Um, so look at this, guys. I know you see like 450 down to 300, and that doesn't mean shit. That doesn't mean anything. This asset's in its infancy, and with the supply disruption on Monday, this is incredible. Chart is absolutely incredible. Um, Mostly RSR. So RSR is great, but you can't be if you're in the U.S. Your baseline is you can't be mostly in one asset. I know that folks have that emotional urge. You want to make a fortune, but I'm telling you, it's risk. And I have no interest in risk. I can never advocate excessive risk. I can never advocate allocating the vast majority of a portfolio's value to a single asset. Never go in, never spread too thin. Just I can't advocate that, and I have to encourage you to optimally diversify your portfolio. You can't have too many assets. You can't have too few assets. And then you have to think about the position sizing and the balance of the assets. How much is risk off? How much is risk on? How much risk are you taking? Now, that you have to tell that to yourself. How much risk are you taking? I can tell you right now, I'm in a variety of altcoins, the vast majority in Bitcoin, a whole bunch of Ethereum. The vast majority of my portfolio is heavily skewed towards risk prevention, risk off, and that's it. You need to define the risk you're taking to yourself. It's your own story, and you have to find your story. Do you see any benefits to Monero? Monero is the premier asset for the dark web. It has critical mass. It is the status quo. Monero is a big deal. I can't speak to it with regard to price appreciation because I don't follow it from a technical perspective. Fundamentals tell you where to look. Definitely of interest, definitely interesting, but just I'm not. I personally am not interested in it. Monero is a big deal though, but I think Zcoin Furo has much better technological properties. It needs to scale. There's clearly not enough mining with the recent 51% attack, but I think it's an extraordinary project that has been around for a long time, and they're the ones that do the peer-reviewed papers about cryptography. That's just what it is. My man, Brendan, I hope it helps. All right, let's wrap this up. Let's see. Right, Bitcoin breaking down both between what I thought was a parallel channel, an ascending channel, or even a rising wedge. So maybe that was indeed a rising wedge. So that's breaking down. What we do, what you want to see is this. What you want to see is a retest of previous resistance, flip support, and then a new higher high. So dare we get to here? Yeah, that's ridiculously bullish. Frankly, this rip to the upside from, what was that, the 4-hour 200 EMA in a vertical candle like this has never been seen before. I've never seen anything like this. This is the most incredible vertical breakout of an asset I think I've ever seen, especially with one with the market cap that it has. Including the past most recent price action, the prevailing trend of the symmetrical triangle, a rip from the upside from not even close to resistance, from almost halfway middle of the this is crazy. I've never seen anything like that. So the chart looks great. Look for a resistance flip support. I won't speak towards entries, but that's how you do it. You look for a breakout, a retest, and a new higher high. So I buy on the way up. So getting into Bitcoin, you probably, like me, 39,000, 37, 38,500, and that's the place you want to look for because you want confirmation of likely bullish continuation. It could easily fall back into the symmetrical triangle. It could do whatever the hell it wants to do. But if it retests, holds that support, flips resistance into support, and prints a new higher high, those are three significant pieces of confluence suggesting bullish continuation. That's the name of the game. Keep an eye on Doge. Yeah, you see, guys? You see? Come on. Resistance, 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 resistance. Fine, it may break out. I don't care. I have no interest. Look at this, pushing down through the guppies. RSI in the 30-min is towards the top, coming past 50 on the downside. 1 hour oversold, daily. I mean, this is bullish. This is quite bullish, the higher lows on the Stoke. But look at this wick. Who the heck in their right mind? No one in their right mind is investing in anything. This is not an investment. This is a trader's paradise. There's people scalping 6 figures off this. We know because we see it on Twitter. I have no interest in assets like this. So thank you everyone for joining. 23 people on the stream, 12 likes. Everyone press that thumbs up button, please. I wish you all a wonderful day. 12:07 p.m. on a Friday. I'll catch you all on Monday. I expect an absolute frenzy of a weekend. Tell everyone to subscribe, and I'll catch you later. Peace.